Alright, so welcome back to the Grant Garage. Today what we have is a 2001 Dodge Grand Caravan. It has the 3.3 liter V6 in it, and it was towed back home last night because it wouldn't start. So the first thing we can go, obviously I have the hood open because I know we're going to have to. The first thing I'm going to do is just kind of show you what it does. So we'll go ahead and bring the camera over just to the hood area. So as you can likely hear, or hopefully hear, it just clicks a single time every time I hit the key. Usually that's the starter. If it's a real quick repeated click, it's more likely a dead battery. It's usually the starter. The first thing I am going to do is still just check the battery with my multimeter, make sure I have the voltage there. The click is definitely coming from down at the starter, so it's almost definitely that. So I'll get my multimeter and I'll test that. Okay, 11.5 volts. It's really not that great, but it should still start an older vehicle like this. So the next thing to do is, when the starter goes bad, you can usually give it a little tap, and it might start one or two more times to get you to a more convenient location, like my garage. So that's the first thing I'm going to do, is I'm going to lay here. And I barely fit, so I'm not really going to bring the camera with me, but the starter's right up front on this. I will show it later in the video. Right now, though, I'm just going to go up and tap the body of it a few times. If I can even fit. Okay, so I tapped it a few times, didn't quite work. I'm just going to keep on doing that and just see, really try to get it to work. Let me take the camera from you. I don't know how well you can see it. This is the starter right here. I don't really have a lot of room to hit it. Okay, we've been trying that a little bit, so I may end up actually just doing it in the driveway here. I'll keep trying it a few more times, and whether or not that works determines where you'll see me in the next part of the video. Hitting the starter didn't work, but then we remembered there was free towing, so it still is towed into my garage. So we're working on that starter. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to unhook this battery. So there's going to be live wires down there. We don't want to touch anything. Kind of stubborn. Should be enough. There we go. Just get that tucked out of the way so it can't make contact again. So now we don't have power. We'll get underneath and see what we're looking at. Okay, so here is the starter. And then the bolts I gotta do, I gotta unhook this and unplug this, and then I'll have to unbolt it. I can already tell you that's gonna break, but it doesn't matter because the starter has a new one. So it looks like a 9/16. This clip up here has this little red thing. You have to push that. Let me see if I can. There we go. Have to push that outward, otherwise it won't let you get the release tab on the clip. So that has to go out. Then you pinch this little tab towards the clip like that, and then it pulls off. So I'm gonna get a socket for this. It's either a 1/2 or a 9/16. I can't quite tell. No, I guess I said it was 1/2 or 9/16, but this is a 2001. Yeah, it's a 13. Should have known it wouldn't have been a standard size. I should probably get myself an extension to make this a lot easier, but I don't know where it is, so. Oh yeah, that's gonna break. Is that really coming out? That surprises me. I did not think that that was actually going to unscrew. So that's off of the starter. We gotta come over here on the transmission side. That head right there is one of them, and there'll be another one up top somewhere. Yeah, and there is another one up there. There's 2 bolts total, but I can't even see it, so I definitely can't film it for you. So looks to be probably a 15 millimeter. Got a shallow well. This one was a 15 mil. Okay, now for the other bolts, I'm back up above the vehicle, and you can see, I mean, it's hard to see because it's kind of tight in here. Unfortunately, a lot of this job is done by feel. There's a big head of a bolt here. We're not doing anything with that. But right here, yeah, I wish I could get that to focus better or move my light a little bit, but unfortunately I can't. But there's a stud with a nut, and there's a couple of what looks like ground cables here, like real heavy gauge wire. And that nut has to come off. These will come off, and then underneath that there'll be another hex head that pulls the stud out. We have to do all of that. So starting with this, the best way I found to get that nut is just a shallow well. It is a 13 mil nut, and then I just have the ratchet down in there. You don't really get a lot of movement. About that much. So we'll come back when that's off. Okay, so now you can see I have this nut. Removing it. It's a little shiny. I did end up spraying some penetrating oil down there. Keep that nut set to the side. Then these cables down here. So there's one. There's just 2 of them. Move them out of the way, but make sure you remember where they go. Then gonna get that stud out, and that I'm gonna take a guess and say is probably back to being a 15. Now I'm gonna try. No, won't do it. I was gonna say I'm gonna try a shallow well, just so I can move the ratchet in the same spot, but that won't work because of the stud. Essentially the stud is longer than my socket is deep. Alright, I'm going to show you the setup I have on here, which is, I couldn't find a lot of my tools. I've been busy with a lot of on-the-road repairs lately, and my tools are kind of scattered. It's also worth noting that just because I'm saying to do it this way, this is the way I'm finding works the best for me with the tools I have and the situation I'm encountering. Your experience may differ. I'm just telling you the way I did it. So I have a deep well, 3/8 drive, 15 millimeter on there. Then it goes, and I can't quite show it, but there is an adapter that goes up to 1/2 inch. You don't actually need that. It's just I couldn't find my 3/8 extensions. Then I have 1/2 inch extensions out to a 1/2 inch ratchet, which is placed over there where I actually have some room to move it. And the biggest thing you have to worry about here is kind of collateral damage. There's the shift linkage there. There's these trans lines. There is an electrical plug right there. And you want to make sure that you're not actually going to damage those when you're turning everything. So I usually have one hand down there on the head of the ratchet holding it in place while the other one is actually giving the leverage. So unfortunately, this is another one of those times where I kind of just have to do it and tell you what I'm doing and then come back to you once it's all off. I'm trying to jam a light in here too, because if I can jam the light in there right, I might be able to kind of prop something so I can leave the camera here. So I have the head of the ratchet in that hand. I've already broken it free too, but well, there goes the light. But tiny little clicks until it's out. Alright, just showing you how this is out. This bolt here is what was threaded into the starter. That's just a washer. It's kind of stuck now, but it goes there. So this is that 15 that tightens it in there and holds the starter on. Then those cables were hooked on here with that 13 millimeter nut. It's worth noting at this point that there's nothing actually holding that starter in place right now, except just kind of, Yeah, the fact that it's been there for so long, it doesn't really want to move. So you might have to like knock it with a hammer or something. It's also possible that it might come completely out as soon as those nuts come on there, depending on how corroded in place it is. And if that's the case, you may have wanted to take this bottom one out last, so you'd be down here to catch it, or have an assistant to catch it, or I don't know, a pillow underneath so when it falls. I mean, there's enough wire that probably wouldn't fall, but it potentially could. Mine's pretty stuck. Mine's really stuck. So I'm gonna have to wrap it around a little bit with a hammer or something. I don't think I have ever had a starter that was stuck that much. Okay, so I've had to knock it around a little bit. I finally actually have it moving some. Still pretty stubborn, and it's on a dowel pin, which I'm sure is why. So now I'm kind of prying outward while I wobble it. The fact that I can get it to wobble means I'm making progress, and I can see a gap here. From what I've seen too, some of these actually have 3 bolts. So make sure that that's not the case. This one has a dowel pin. So I had put the bottom bolt back in on this, just for safety reasons, since I'm underneath it laying on the ground. In case it suddenly flopped, I didn't want it falling on my face. Just loosely in there, so I just pulled that back out. And we just got to get it around the wires, which in theory should be the easiest part, but we'll see. Okay, and there's the starter. So, if you can see this here, very corroded up dowel pin is, I'm sure, what was holding it. It's got the 2 bolts there. Then let's take a look up at where it goes. Okay, that's worth noting too. I thought this was just between the engine and the trans, but this actually does have a shim of sorts between here. So we're going to make sure that gets back on there as well. But you can see the hole up top. It's too dark to see, but there's the hole in the bottom you could see from the other side. The hole that you currently see up top there is that one I was getting from up underneath the hood, where it had the stud and the nut. So it looks like the teeth on the flywheel are still in decent shape. It's worth noting while we're down here. And I'll go grab the new starter. Okay, so we're just comparing the starters side by side just to confirm that we have the correct one. Of course, I have the new one. Okay, my camera auto rotates, kind of annoying. Normally isn't so bad. But you can see, still have the plug there. Wires here, has a new nut on it. Same thing with these. I've already looked in there, made sure those are correct. So, yeah. Same thing, it's got the dowel, not a bolt. Like, I've never seen them with a bolt here, but I've seen that other people have had a bolt there. But I had a dowel on my old one, I have a dowel on my new one. So I'll get that up in there. Okay, now, on here I put some RTV, and it doesn't matter what type of RTV it is, because it's not actually sealing anything, and it doesn't matter how long it lasts. The only reason I put it on here is so it'll hold this shim in place while I reinstall the starter. I'll try not to smush too much dirt into it. And of course it doesn't matter, I don't have to let it cure or anything because it's not really doing anything except holding it there. Make sure I can get to everything. Okay. starter I have wiggled up into place. That dowel, as much as that dowel made it difficult to remove it, it's kind of nice because it holds it for me. So I'm going to start this bottom bolt. You know, next to that, that's another thing I've heard about replacement starters, is I've heard that some people have had trouble trying to reuse these old bolts, that they're a different thread. But I'm not having that situation. I don't know if that's just like certain Chinese knockoffs or something, but not an issue I'm finding. So then we have this stud that goes in through the top. It's got that washer. Not a lot of fun to reach for sure. But honestly, I've done worse. Even though it'd make a good video, I hope I never have to show you one on one of those North Stars. Okay, and that's started. I don't even know if the camera was pointed at it, but it probably wasn't. Okay, this one here started in. It's just difficult enough to turn by hand that I'm going to have to get the socket on it. So I have to tighten that, I have to tighten the bottom one, and then I have to put those wires on. I'm going to tighten the two studs into the starter and then come back. Okay, so I got that 15mm stud in up top, and I got the 15mm bolt tightened into the bottom. So the starter is fastened to the vehicle. Now I have this plug and the battery cable. I already reached up into here, and I just kind of scratched away the corrosion. So we're going to slide that up onto it. And just to get it out of the way, I'm going to plug this other one in right now too. And this might be fun, because I kind of have this plastic around here. I have a nut and a lock washer. I'm kind of holding it with my finger. I'm going to try to spin it just enough to get it started on there. There's a hole on the side here. Once it's started a little, I can use the socket. Yeah. Okay, so there's some other ways of doing this too. Basically the problem is I can't reach up in there and actually hold on to the sides of the nut. So you kind of have to improvise. But you can do that with basically anything around you. I'm going to use a leaf that I just found on the ground here. Basically wrap it around the nut. Now it's holding, I wrapped it around the nut, shoved the nut in there, now it holds the nut. Set my lock washer up on top. Remove all the leaf. Now that's started up onto there, now I can tighten it just like normal. Okay, so that's all hooked up. So now up top I have the other, remember the stud up top has those cables and a nut. So I got to put those on. This stud right here, wherever you grab these and put them, those both have to go back on. Okay, and it's just tough enough to fight me, so I have to use the socket and stuff to tighten that back up. I'm going to do that, and then I'll get back with you. So, I got that one tightened down with those clamps, or the clamps with the nut. Only thing left to do is hook the battery back up. I'll say these ends should probably be replaced, but yeah, I'm holding the camera and it's wobbling, so I'm just going to tighten that and then we'll see. I'll bring you right back. Got that hooked back up. Now we test. Alright, and we're starting. And so that'll do it. 2001 Dodge Grand Caravan with the 3.3 liter. Replace the starter. Thanks for watching the Grant Garage. Like and subscribe if you'd like to. See you next time.